So what did you think of the Shakespeare
Code? Right, okay, fine. Let's talk Doctor Who. Why not? In fact, while I'm talking Doctor Who, let's start with things we liked. Use exclamation mark question. Tell us the things that you liked.
I already told you to do that.
Well, no one has.
Well, they obviously don't love me as much as they love you. That's what I'm comfy eating.
Well, try and get your ass out on stream, quite frankly, and maybe you'll get more popular. Who knows? Right. Did you want to say what you liked about the Shakespeare Code first or second? Second. My thing about the Shakespeare Code, and it's the same problem I have with the Von Get Van Gogh episode, is I'm just not a big fan of Shakespeare. Yeah, I've said it. And I have the same problem at school. I'm sure one of some of my best friends are English teachers. Griggsy's an English teacher, and he loves Shakespeare. He runs like a Shakespeare festival at our school, and he gets like kids who are like 12 doing Shakespeare and stuff like that. I just don't get it. It's old language. The plot lines are kind of predictable, and I don't get Shakespeare. Like, it's not that I can see that it was good at the time, but I just find it now, it's a bit like opera. It's like, when you go to opera and you have to have this thing at the beginning that actually tells you what's going to happen because you can't understand what's happening just by watching the opera. So you have to then read the thing that tells you about the opera. And then you're just kind of there going, well, I know what's going to happen. Well, I don't need to wait till Act 3 to know that guy's going to get shot. I can see it in the program. And I have the same issue with Shakespeare, that it's nice use of language and stuff, but it's out of date. And so my problem is with an episode that's all based around Shakespeare is that I know for a lot of people, they'll be kind of like, oh my God, Shakespeare. Whereas I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. Another historical person. And so for me, it's kind of on a losing streak already. And obviously the episode is very, very, very centered around Shakespeare. And there's like cool, the cool little references to the plays are quite cool. And I was like, you can use that and all that kind of stuff. But I guess it makes me look a bit like a kind of a Philistine, and, I'm uncouth and, blah, 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 laddie, burn in hell, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I don't really like Shakespeare, and therefore an episode that's all based around Shakespeare doesn't really do it for me.
No.
Why don't you give, but however.
So was that what you did like about the episode?
No. Mm-hmm. But that was my opening.
So I'm going to talk about what I liked about the episode.
No, I asked them to talk about what they liked. But that's the issue. I do think there was a lot to like about the episode in particular, but I know some people really like it because it's like, oh my God, it's the Shakespeare episode. It's the one where they met Shakespeare, and I don't have that same kind of link. But you do like Shakespeare, don't you?
I like the way that I don't love Shakespeare. I appreciate the language, I think, probably more than you. I think that he has a good way with words, but I'm not like a huge Shakespeare fan. I liked the episode though, because I actually quite liked the kind of plot and the storyline. For me, it was a nice change from big monsters that just kind of are huge and scary and storm down. Witches are pretty cool. And I know they weren't witches, they were Carrionites, but still, they were kind of dressed up as witches. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I like this, I tend to be quite a fan of the historical episodes anyway. So I like ones which kind of go back and mess with history. Like, what if there was what if they had Love's Labour's one?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I agree. I can't remember if you said this on stream or if you said this just after we watched it, but I do agree that they overdid the whole Shakespeare quotes a little bit, kind of rammed it down your throat a bit. But even so, I thought that was pretty cool.
But what I did like, thank you, and what I did like about the episode was the enemies were scary. And once again, I kind of like the way Doctor Who does it. They always they take something that's kind of mythological or magical, and then they find a scientific explanation. And sometimes they kind of hammer it in, and sometimes they don't. But in this case, it was just kind of like, oh my God, it's a telepathic something. And they kind of explained voodoo dolls, and they explained witches, and they explained some certain forms of madness and things, and witches on broomsticks, and and all those kind of things. So there was a lot of kind of explanations that kind of went on, which I liked. We watched the Doctor Who Confidential, and I would strongly recommend, if you're going to join us on this little journey or to start doing the same, you can kind of, I wish you found it on one of our DVDs eventually, but there's various little clips on YouTube. And if you've never seen it, Doctor Who Confidential is like the kind of behind the scenes show. And I don't like watching them at the time. So like, I wouldn't watch Capaldi, as Capaldi's next series comes out, I wouldn't watch I wouldn't watch Confidential with it because I think it takes away from the magic. But, 5 years, 10 years removed, or whenever this thing was filmed, I think it's fine to look back. And it was filmed in the real Globe Theatre, not the one that burned down, but it was filmed in the remade one.
I've been there.
Clary's been there. And they were talking about all the kind of logistical problems because they didn't close the theatre for it. They had to kind of do it overnight. So like they would perform something on that stage, close the theatre, and they'd have to run in with a load of straw and curtains and make it look a lot older than it is, cover the fire exit signs. And, so they really made an effort on the set kind of things. And they also...
Tell them about the audience.
Oh, yeah, and the audience, they were explaining how they only had 50 extras. And so there's scenes with a huge crowd, and they said there's only a few scenes with a huge crowd, but it's all only over 50 extras, and so they did a load of green screening. So they did like crowd over here, and then they moved all the crowd there, and then they did the whole crowd again, and then they moved the crowd over there, and then the crowd again, and then they kind of put them all together, and it's crazy. I didn't spot it at all. It's crazy, but then if you look carefully at other scenes, lots of them are shot like between like two people. So if we were getting a shot of like me here, right here, there'd be like a bunch of crowd right in front of it, which is the only 50 people that they had, kind of all standing there. And it gives the impression of a far bigger crowd, which must have been a huge headache for them. I'm just a bit like, well, hire more extras. But they put a lot of work into it. And they also said it was one of the first times that they'd properly gone on location as well. And also I think that must be exaggerating because I can think of other examples, but they went to Warwick, which is a very old English town, and filmed there, and they were kind of saying, how a lot of the buildings that they filmed outside really exist. They weren't set. In fact, the theatre wasn't really a set. It is actually the theatre. So they really went for it, and I very much, even though I'm not a Shakespeare fan, I did appreciate the scenery, the sets, and the general kind of feel of it. And I like the historical ones. I think when you see the futuristic ones, they're cool, but you've got no kind of like place of relevance, place of reference in your mind. It's just kind of like, oh, that's futuristic. When it's kind of like Tudor times, Victorian times, caveman times, dinosaur times, recreating the past is cool because it gets your mind kind of thinking, what would it like to be there, or would I like to visit that, or what would I do if I could go back in time other than remove the nudity from earlier on the stream.
Don't lie.
I spoke for quite a long time, so it's your turn.
Hmm?
I just spoke for quite a long time, so it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's got
Let's talk about Martha Jones then.
Do you want to read out some things?
All right.
Sorry, some of them mentioned Martha. Okay, talk about Martha. Go for Martha.
I can't see the screen at that angle, I'm afraid.
Okay. You talk about Martha, and then I'll do some stuff.
Okay. So this was Martha's second episode in, and a bit of
just one trip.
Sorry, just one trip. And a bit of character development for her, definitely a bit of character development for her relationship with the Doctor as well. Last week we kind of commented that the Doctor kept saying that he wasn't interested, but at the same time seemed to be courting her. Whereas things changed. Oh, and we also kind of said last week that the Doctor seemed to be quite impressed with how clever Martha was. Martha was solving problems in... Oh, look, I'm waving the Ben and Jerry's around. Martha was solving problems within the hospital, and I think the Doctor was kind of quite impressed by that, and that's perhaps one of the reasons that he kind of took her on, type thing. Whereas this time, he just seemed kind of exasperated by her. What do you think?
It was as if he was already tired of her. He enjoyed running around with her, but yeah, there was that very horrible scene in bed where he basically kind of says, "Hey, let's go to bed together," and then he gets in there and starts talking about another woman. Yeah, which is like, so he treats her very badly.
There was also though a few scenes which kind of showed his annoyance with her. For example, when she started talking to Shakespeare, using really old language.
Yeah, he was like,
don't ever do that. And he just looked at her with complete disgust, like, you're getting this completely wrong. Oh, did you leave the peanut butter cup for me?
I did.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, there were a few scenes of that when he was just like, he just seemed to be really irritated by her. Culminating in the one in bed when he was like, yeah, Rose had been here and I'll take you back tomorrow.
Yeah, I do think though that it's obviously a very important character arc for Martha, and in Doctor Who: The Confidential, the writer Russell T Davies was saying that the whole point of Martha's character was unrequited love. Like, that's the whole point, and you can feel it. But I think it also adds more shades to the Doctor's character, because in series 1, when it was Eccleston, he was kind of standoffish and he was odd and he was unusual and he was alien-like, and then he turned into Tennant. And, Tennant is lovable. He's cute and he's funny and he's witty and he's fast and he's like, yeah. And him and Rose just had this connection, they were just, from the moment they met, they were just into each other. And so I think going into series 3, the Doctor has kind of got this, he's stopped being alien. There's the occasional look and there's the occasional thing that makes you go, oh, but he'd stopped being alien. And yet here he is now with a personality that makes you go, oh, hang on a minute.
Mm.
He's not quite as, does he not know what he's doing? And it brings him, although it makes her a very interesting companion and gives her a lovely arc, and it also, I think, makes him less of a kind of like the constant love interest and things like that. And I think he becomes more interesting as a result of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what some people think. Agrajag said, if I just come across to the other screen, then you guys will be able to see what people think. Agrajag says, I just finished watching the Shakespeare Code. Tennant is so mean to Martha. It makes me dislike the Rose character even more. Oh, I wouldn't take it out on Rose. I
take it out on the Doctor.
Mm.
But I know what you mean. If you dislike Rose already, you're probably a bit like, get over her.
Echo status. Real Tegan says, I loved the expression on Shakespeare's face when he's turned into a puppet. Funny acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were some goofy expressions there. What did you think of Shakespeare? Because on the confidential thing, as they always do, they kind of go, oh well, I loved what the writer did with Shakespeare and making him this kind of like he described him as like the rock star of his age. I don't know. It didn't feel like Shakespeare to me because the paintings you see are very kind of like
Well, with the collar that he was given at the end.
Yeah, well, there's the collar, there's the bald head. He's always older. He's static. I don't know how. If I was writing, I'm not sure how I'd interpret him. But what would you think?
I quite liked him for the reason that his I agree with you that all their pictures are very static of him.
Yeah.
We kind of don't have moving images. We don't have any record of what he was like. But his writing is very filled with passion and
That's
very
true.
filled with kind of life.
Violence and anger and sex and drugs
like
and rock and roll.
It was Midsummer's Night Dream. It's like the two sides, isn't it? So I think he had to be a very passionate person.
Yeah,
I think it wouldn't have worked if you'd had this kind of amazing writer who was kind of bland. He veered into the creepy stakes at times, but
he was hitting on Martha straight away.
He was hitting on everyone.
True. Jen Devine says, I love the moment like Martha brought up Harry Potter. Indeed, Expelliarmus. All around the place. Yeah, little jokes at the end. It's funny because David Tennant went and did Hamlet, says Agniti. He likes his Shakespeare. In fact,
did he do Hamlet with
No, he did something else with Donna. But he did do Hamlet as well. He's done and he's done Henry recently. Leek Kitten says, I liked the dumping of the chamber pot out of the window.
That was the beginning.
And
each to their own.
Each to their own. And the references to how gross the period would have been. Your breath doesn't half stink. I actually thought the opposite, actually, and I often think these in Doctor Who, is that or these kind of programs, is they sanitise things. In that...
You wanted more dumping of chamber pots? One wasn't enough?
I wanted silage dripping off their faces. No, more that... if I was filming it, especially for kids, I would have done exactly what they did.
Right.
So it's not a complaint. It's more an observation that they... but when they went to the mental institution, that it was, there wasn't poop everywhere. They weren't walking around with their noses like that. There wasn't grime everywhere. They kind of just had the kind of customary, slightly raggy clothes and a bit of black on the face. It was. But I'm sure reality would have been far worse. I'm not saying I want to see reality, and I'm thinking I'm quite happy with how But you know what I mean? I think
you're right. It would have been worse, but then there's a medium to get if you're trying to watch telly, isn't there?
There is.
Especially if you're eating peanut butter ice cream at the same time.
Well, sadly, we've run out of peanut butter ice cream. Doctor Who fan says, I thought the costumes were phenomenal and the setting at the end in the hall was perfect. Great architecture and Martha's interaction with Shakespeare, I felt, caused the Doctor to be harsh on her. Having them quote J.K. Rowling's was funny. J.K. Bree says, I really enjoy the way Shakespeare is portrayed in this episode as more of a normal guy, like when Tennant first introduces him saying he always picks the perfect words and Shakespeare ends up saying, shut your big fat mouths. Okay, I'll tell you something that annoyed me about Shakespeare. The fact that he not only like this kind of like playboy type thing, he was also clever enough to say, at the end when you're from the future, and you're an alien, and you're and like Tennant was like, oh, you're amazing. I think they made him too clever. Like I don't get that. That's not realistic. Like that's.
See, I quite like that.
Oh really?
Yeah, I liked it because, I mean, Shakespeare is a ginormous name, an absolutely ginormous name.
Yeah.
And that might be easy. And
I'm not getting up because I'll show everyone my arse.
This is true. I'll get up and show everyone mine instead. Yeah, Shakespeare is a huge name, and I think that to be able to give him the weight of something, like to be like, this is a different man. He's not just a random. Like he does actually have some kind of like special powers, which is obviously what's kind of contributed to him being so successful.
That's what you're saying.
I'm just going to go and rescue it.
So abnormally talented people. Yeah, I suppose it does make sense. I don't know. I guess it was kind of like he was kind of smug as well. Can't stand arrogant people. Loves 10NZ says, I love how it was filmed in the Globe. Snow Joke says, Warwick near me at the Lord Leicester Hospital was right in the middle of the town. Jennifer Heckle says, it's almost like being the one who courted her in the first episode, but didn't like being courted by her, which kind of started when he kissed her.
Pardon you.
That was disgusting. In the first episode. Hello, Izzy. Did you want to come and meet your adoring fans? Izzy's just been asleep. Very briefly. It's a thing. Lamps just mentioned in the chat that the Shakespeare paper doesn't work on
the psychic paper.
Psychic.
No, that's right, because he's special.
He is special. Well, maybe they should have gone whole hog then. You know, Shakespeare could have been an alien.
That would have been pretty cool.
Or like, you know, something magical about him. Or even just a line like, you know, the fact that the witches have cursed him in some way, you know, maybe he'd been given access to some sort of otherworldly knowledge, you know, in some way, which explains the place. I guess the issue I just have is the fact that he's just a normal guy who's abnormally talented. You know,
that is Shakespeare though, isn't it? He is a normal guy who's abnormally talented. That pretty much sums him up.
But Doctor Who specialises in giving explanations for those things.
Yeah.
So like, you know, the royal family of werewolves, or the devil is this alien thing that lives in a cave planet. I don't know. I might have put something in. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying maybe differences I might have made. Tabby Tanner says, I haven't rewatched this series because I'm always so angry at the Doctor for being so mean to Martha.
I know what you mean. You do just want to punch him. Even the nicest person wants to punch the Doctor. Yeah. But
they do. I think it's a great series. It is. I mean, there's so many good things in there, but yeah, their relationship is bad. But like you said last week, is that she's the only companion ever to walk away from him.
Yeah, go Martha.
Not yet though.
Not yet.
She needs to fall hopelessly in love first.
Well, I think she just gets to the point of not wanting to be treated like crap anymore, doesn't she? And she walks away.
She does, and I think it also shows a little bit of kind of humanity in there in terms of she loves the travelling and the time travel and the people that she meets, but some things are actually more important than that. She's a little bit of a moral in itself, don't you think, Izzy? Izzy does think that.
You think that.
Izzy does think that. So that's it. So I'm going to remove all the quotes there. So have you got any other things you'd like to say about the episode? Good, bad, favourite moments? Let's talk about the Carrionites. We haven't really talked about the enemies yet.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a Shakespeare reference. They were obviously the Macbeth witches was the kind of the inspiration, but they was the I kind of recognised but don't know where the actress is from. We were talking about it just before the stream because when I was googling the pictures, there was a picture of the actress with blonde hair, but I don't know if the actress that plays the main witch is in something else because she seems familiar. But I quite liked the Carrionites.
Did you?
I thought they were this whole thing about the power of words. Obviously, it fitted very nicely with Shakespeare for a start, but also it was different.
I name thee.
The
adipose.
No, I love it. That was cool and that was different. And then there was words would bring them in, and the 14-sided globe theatre. It reminds me a little bit of if any of you've seen Ghostbusters, like there's a block of flats which is built by the architect to be like a an anchor for psychic energy or magical energy or ghostly energy. And then I like the way they kind of implied that the Globe Theatre was built the same way, architected to be perfectly set up for words to bridge the gap between this world and the next. Did you like the words thing? Did it work for you?
I did like the words thing. Like you said, it fitted in with the Shakespeare thing. And it's a different kind of power and weakness to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not laser guns and it's things. It
suits me. I also think, like, for me, witches are quite scary. Like, that's a genuine kind of scary, and the idea of your face being able to change like that, is quite scary. Hello.
Don't worry,
Mama's still here.
We won't let them get. Have we got Izzy's witch thing around? I think it might have gone actually. Or be packed away somewhere. If you've never seen Izzy dressed as a witch, then do check out the Halloween special. Hello. But the bad guys, and then I liked the look of the other ones as well. And when they were flying around, and they weren't quite birds and they weren't quite people, and they were kind of unnerving. It was like, what is that?
It's
different.
Kind of like a bat, but not.
Yeah, I think the Doctor said a line at one point that they were there at the dawn of time. They were ancient creatures that disappeared, and they almost had that kind of like slightly unevolved look. They haven't quite got this, they haven't quite got that, and then you didn't quite see what they were, but at the same time you were like, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Alfesh says, question, don't the Carrionites show up later in a box in the TARDIS? I have a vague memory of that, but I couldn't tell you which episode or where. But yeah, the Doctor does take them, does he? He does take the crystal ball while they're kind of screaming and shouting.
That had remnants of the family of blood as well.
Why isn't he? He takes
them.
Yeah. Well, he's one of the few enemies that he doesn't destroy.
Those in the family of blood.
Yeah, and he does have this kind of way of dealing with them. I wonder if it would be quite cool to him to kind of, to explore that at some point. I mean, to do a Ghostbusters reference again, there's at the end of Ghostbusters, they shut down the containment unit and all the ghosts they've ever caught escape all at the same time. They could have quite a fun Doctor Who episode where, the TARDIS is unleashed or unlocked or something like that, and all the Carrionites and the whoever else is in there, you know how the Doctor collects odds and ends of Dalek fronts and cyber helmets and the family of blood escapes and things like that. Which is very, very cool. Anyway, have anything else to say about the Shakespeare Code?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not. I think I've said what I thought. I'm looking forward to next week's Gridlock, though.
Yeah, I remember that being good.
I haven't seen Gridlock for quite a while. I remember at the time, I was training to be an RE teacher, and which is philosophy and ethics for those of you across the pond, and there was great excitement at the time in RE teaching circles because there's a lot of religious references in next week's, and there's various hymns at various points. So I think there'll be lots to talk about next week in terms of the plot, the character, the relationships as you do, but possibly some kind of symbolism in there as well to talk about it. Now just to be depressing though, we were watching the Confidential thing, and they said this episode was filmed in 2006, and it's now 2015, which makes it coming up on 9 years old, which makes me feel very old.
Very old.
Izzy wasn't even an embryo. Well, let's be fair, Izzy wasn't even an embryo this time. No, she was this time last year.
She was. We had a 20-week scan.
She was a little fetus.
She was growing in my belly, making it all big.
She was swimming
around.
Hasn't
quite got back to the original size yet.
Swimming around. Oh, grumpy face.
High five. Yeah, high five.
She's very well trained.
Yeah, clever girl. High five.
Flap, 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 flap.
High five.
Anyway, this has turned into a